Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cantina, LRM's premier Star Wars podcast with myself, Kyle Malone, and my co-host.
Hi, it's Cam Clark here.
Cam has been a part of the Cantina since it was known as Last Call, when we did a big year-long, very successful project reviewing all of the live-action Star Wars movies in order of timeline, chronological order. It all led up to a big opening night review, or opening day review of episode 9. I think we had 7 people on at one point.
Possibly, yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all available wherever you get podcasts from. Some of the sites, so Spotify, limits the amount of past episodes, but the entire playlist of everything we've done for the Cantina Last Call is available on SoundCloud in a pretty little playlist for you guys to listen to. Check it out. And of course, right now we're doing Mandalorian reviews, and this morning at 3 a.m. Episode 7 of season 2, known as The Believer, hit, and Cam and I, once again, definitely had some things that we called, but again had some things that we thought would happen that definitely didn't, and we'll get into that. But this episode was all about an attempt to try to get the child back. It included Bill Burr's Mayfield character, Cara Dune, and Finnick. I forget her last. It's like Finnick Shand or Shard or something like that. Did you notice her in the Bad Batch trailer last night?
No, I didn't, but I've heard since that she was in it. Yeah, and now when I've seen what's the word I'm looking for?
Clip?
Like a clip or like an image of it. It does look like her, so I totally get where they come from with that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool. Cam, what we always like to do with these when we remember with the Mandalorian, this episode, I definitely think it was just snap before we go through it all. I think this was the weakest episode so far, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. What do you give it before we go through it and you have a chance
4.
to think about it?
I was slightly better than that, so I would say 4 out of 5. I thought it was pretty good. There's not been really any episode I've had any serious issues with at all this season. I enjoyed this week because not quite as much as last week, but enjoyed it for different reasons. Still lots of nice touches. So yeah, I'm going to go 4 out of 5.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I made this joke when we were doing when Nick and I were doing LRM ranks it for the View Askew universe. Kevin Smith's movies. I compared all of the movies, even though we had to rank them from what we thought was the least best to the absolute best. I equated it to orgasms. So, no matter what, you have one. Like, it's you still got one. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but you still got it. So even though I'm rating this low compared to other season 2 episodes, I do agree that it was still enjoyable and all of that. But let's go ahead and get into breaking down the episode, the things that we noticed, and yeah. So the recap. Hold on, I just dropped my pencil. Anyways, the recap it shows what happened last episode. Child's Grogu abducted. Mando goes back to, what is that planet Kara's on? It's the same one that Grief is on, right?
Yeah, Navarro.
Navarro. There you go. And he gets Marshall Dune to help him go get Mayfield from prison for a mission, which is something that I said last week that Mando would be the one to go get Mayfield. You didn't really see why. What did you think about when they actually went and got Mayfield, and
I enjoyed that sort of opening scene. Mayfield was like, just getting on with his prison life job. I think there are hints that this is a trash planet from Jedi Fallen Order, but I've not played that game, so I'm not going to say whether it is or not, but that's what I'm hearing.
It's
anyway.
Like Merrick or something like, no, Merrick or Mark or whatever's the planet with the
Martok or something like that. Marok. Yeah. That's where they went in the end. Yeah.
I want to know now that you saw why and how Mando got Mayfield. Were you good with that, using Cara Dune and what that seems like it might be leading to?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, we can get on to what it might be leading to, but I think you're going Rangers of the... I keep wanting to say Rebels of the New Republic, but it's Rangers of the New Republic. You think we're one of the biggest football teams in Scotland being one called Rangers, you'd think I would catch that, but hey-ho.
Texas Rangers in baseball here, and New York Rangers in hockey here as well.
Right. Yeah.
And of course the best Rangers there are the United States Army Rangers. So yeah, there you go. Anyways, this was a 38-minute ish episode minus everything. Again, we got ourselves about 34 minutes of actual time. They get Mayfield. They show us the interior of Slave One, and they show us kind of how it works for passengers, with the rotation. I kind of enjoyed that. It's a little bit of world building. It's a little different. I thought it was a nice touch. I also enjoyed that Fett has repainted his armor.
Yes, I thought that was actually a nice touch after it was so ruined sort of over the years that he's actually just kind of touched it all up and repainted it. Yes, I liked that. I thought it looked quite snazzy. I liked the look of Boba Fett.
And he's upgraded the outfit in general versus the real quick last week when he just put on what he could.
Makes sense. Yeah,
exactly. I like that. We got that announcement hint last night that Rangers, Ahsoka, and Mando would meet together in the future for a combined series.
Yeah, it was one story being told that's building to an event. Yep.
Yes. This is like that that thing that we talked about, Game of Thrones, showing individual houses, and then it all comes together at the end.
So this is what our source told us, basically. The other shows that were added into the mix was Boba Fett, which, although that wasn't announced yesterday, there's trades and many other places saying that there is a Boba Fett mini-series coming. We think they're just keeping that secret for whatever reason at the moment. And we do think there's an Ezra Throne show coming as well. But my guess is that would be just a little bit further down the line, and that they're not ready to kind of push ahead with letting us know about that at this point, because I think that's one of the places where Ahsoka's story certainly would naturally go, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I agree 100%, and we'll get there a little bit later in the conversation. So I really liked seeing Slave One and the inner workings and the rotation mechanism. I'm a geek
like
for that shit.
And do you know what I loved about it? And my son kind of joined in with this as well, and he thought it was pretty cool. Is that he had the toy? He had like a big Slave One toy, and it all kind of, as you pick the toy up, the cockpit all moves in the inside, so that the figures all kind of move around in a toy fashion. Yet in like Attack of the Clones, it seemed as if they were just lying backwards and that it never moved. You know, so I always liked the idea that it all moved around, because it reminded me of even the original toy that you could get back in the day. Of Slave One that had kind of some moving bits in it as well. So yes, that was a geek out moment for me. I'm not going to lie.
And
do that.
It's not the only ship that changes orientation for flight and things in Star Wars. The B-wings also go from a horizontal position to a vertical position when they fight. I love a lot of the sci-fi tech in Star Wars, which is why those bombers in Episode 8 pissed me off so bad.
Yes, and I agree with you on that one.
No, I'm sorry, Jammer, but no one in the Star Wars universe would design a ship like that. No one. Not even the Empire. And they're terrible. So, what do you think about the fact that, other than those X-Wing pilots and Cara Dune, all we've seen of the New Republic is droids? Are you... I mean, I know I expect a lot more New Republic and Rangers, but are you a little disappointed that all we see is droids, even in season 1?
Because it's early days, and
okay.
At the moment,
it's been 5 years.
It's early days into the Mandalorian, is what I mean, and he's still sort of cutting about the outer rim, where there's still like Imperial remnants hanging about and stuff like that, which they wouldn't really be doing if there was a major New Republic presence. So it feels like the New Republic's trying to establish some kind of order, but maybe numbers aren't on their side, so it's proving a little bit difficult, and possibly that kind of leads into some of what the Imperial officer was talking about later on in this episode.
Yeah, that they'll welcome them back, and
we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, well, definitely, because that's a really important scene, and a great scene. But they leave, they go to Morok, I think is the name, because I wrote it down, where Mayfield tells Mando that he can access a terminal and get the location of is he Grand Moff Gideon or just Moff Gideon? He's Grand Moff.
Moff
Gideon? Is he a Grand or not? I don't. No, let me double check. Moff.
I tell you, man, it's just Moff.
Just Moff. He's not a Grand. Me, man. Why is he not a Grand?
Because there was actually very few Grand Moffs. Moff was a title. Grand Moff, there wasn't a massive amount of them really.
Yeah,
was there?
I know that. It's just I would have figured he would have given the name himself after the fall of the Empire.
Moff's still pretty high up, so it's still high ranking. But
yes,
but this is important potentially going forward. Moff is not as high a title as Grand Admiral.
Right. Exactly, and a lot of people expect it to, just like in the EU, Thrawn to be the first major person to try to bring back the Empire. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming up there. They get to Morok. They talk about their plan. Who's gonna go into the the base. They say that scanners will pick up DNA or something on both Kara and Finnick, and that's why they can't go in.
That one kind of threw me as a little bit
because
for plot reasons we need you two to go in and him to stay here, so let's do this. And
it really
feel like that.
It upset me because wouldn't Mayfield also set off an alarm? Wouldn't the Empire make his identity a bad one? You know what I'm saying? Like, Mando makes sense that he wouldn't pop up, but then again, why wouldn't the Imperials, if somebody's not in their system, wouldn't that alert them too? So like that whole plot device to get it to where it was Mando and Burr going in.
I know that they probably
that was
thought,
bad.
Right, we need a reason for Fett to stay with the ship, the two of them to provide, I don't know. Can you think any better reasons off the top of your head?
What you just said is perfect, and tactically thinking.
But then it wouldn't have made sense to force him into a situation where we could have to take his helmet off, though, which they needed to happen.
No, it still allows if you come out right off the bat and they go, okay, we need sniper support here and here, so Kara, you go there, Finnick, you go there, Fett, you're the air support. When we're ready for exfiltration,
I've just thought about
Mando
it, actually
has the conversation with
this
Burr.
This is how I would do it. I think so. I think you're right, Kyle. Basically, I think Mando could have just turned around and said, "I'm going with him. I need to make sure this happens." Just that kind of deal. Despite any kind of reservations, he's kind of pushed himself into that situation. I absolutely buy that as a more kind of plausible reason that would basically it's a reason that wouldn't have us moaning about it on this episode. Right. And that's what you have to think about sometimes when you're writing, like, you have to think about the nerds at us that are just not going to accept anything because you had to, because we can see the writing process going on,
Yes.
We're experienced enough to do that. So yes, I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, this right here was they made a mountain out of a molehill and a problem during the writing of this episode, and there was an easy way out, and because they didn't use the logical easy way, and you still get all of the great Bill Burr trying to convince Mando to take his helmet off, you still get all of that because they still have to figure out how to get in, which we see the Juggernaut vehicles carrying a volatile chemical, something that started with an R. I don't remember the name.
Rhodidium or something like that.
Something like that. There are a group of local natives, it appears, that are definitely not liking the Imperials mining, and we get to see some of them. But let's talk about Mayfield and Mando's plan to get in. Mayfield tells him, you can't go in the Mandalorian armor. You're going to have to take your helmet off, which is something that harkens back to season 1, where Mayfield was, and the other bad guys in that episode, making fun of Mando, teasing him, trying to get him to take off his helmet. But it also plays off of what Mando learned this season about the Watch. And what he learned from Bo.
So there's a sort of somebody that's almost been brainwashed, and they've had a seed of doubt put in there that's in there now, and it's making them more likely to make decisions which ultimately benefit Grogu rather than his creed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The rescue of Grogu is more important to Mando than keeping his creed at this moment in time, and that's good.
Yep, and we'll get there. I love Bill Burr's so fucking hilarious, talking about the gloves being
I didn't
wet.
like him much in season 1. I just thought he was okay. Yeah, he was alright. You know what I mean? But I liked him this week. I thought he was really good. You know, I do.
Like I said, I like the costume switch when they hijack the Juggernaut vehicle, and which is both a prequel trilogy and EU vehicle, the Juggernaut. But these are obviously modified to carry the rhodium or whatever. When Mando shows up in the trooper armor, he's wearing Imperial trooper armor, not stormtrooper. So he's still got a helmet on. I can't believe Bill Burr actually made a "you people" joke. Like in America, if you say "you people,"
I get it. I got it.
Like some will freak out no matter what the context is. Like,
I know.
They'll freak out. But
you Americans have got that just racism thing going in a different way from everyone else, I think.
I just
but then it's
loved
such a
this
multicultural
joke.
Society. I think that's where it comes from. So yeah. I liked it.
I thought it was funny, and he flat out, he's like, and he says something, you people, blah blah blah,
people,
and he goes, by you
Mandalorians.
people I mean Mandalorians. So blunt, and that's a Bill Burr thing. I would almost put money that scene, that joke, was written by Burr and put in by Burr. What do you think? I think that's very likely.
Yeah, like you have to allow, as a decent director, has to allow a little bit of ad-libbing when it works. At the end of the day, Star Wars was built on a little bit of ad-libbing. After all, so yeah, I'm all for that kind of stuff. I think that's a more naturalistic way. I mean, I would never be, if I was a writer, so precious to my script that if an actor come up with a better line, I wouldn't go, "Yep, that's better, shoot it." So I could see it being that type of situation, 100%. Who knows though? We may never find out that.
Yeah. Hold on one second. There we go. So they get in their Juggernaut. They're headed to the refinery so they can access that terminal and get the coordinates.
Once again, the
driving takes too long
to get there, which they have
too
to
many
do
shots.
Although there's more of a reason this week for it to happen than there is in previous weeks. Like as we've said, the last 2 weeks they've had a reason why they couldn't just land right next to where they wanted to go. But this week was probably the most plausible reason of them all. But see the whole kind of drive and action, I think Mando does it really well. So if they do something really well, why not use it? Each situation's always different. It's never the same thing. Sometimes it's in a spaceship and it's got this character in it. Sometimes it's it's on another type of transport, that they're on,
an air speeder or something.
Last time it was just Grief and Cara, and Mando was like the overseer. This time it was like Boba Fett using Slave One as the kind of heavy air support and everything like that. So it's always a little bit different, but it's just kind of Western tactics in it. We're going to hijack this fucking train. Yeah, and we're going to, that's how many westerns were built on train hijacks, and really the Mando always leans into its western roots. So
have you?
It's just a good old fashioned train action.
Did you read Crichton's Great Train Robbery?
I've seen the film. I've never read the book. I don't believe. No.
Oh, okay. Well,
you're talking about the film stars Sean Connery, doesn't it?
I'm not.
I'm
sure about.
I'm pretty sure. It's a little bit before even my time. Never mind yours. If it's the same thing we're talking about. It's like set back in the, I want to say sort of almost Victorian era, or maybe a little bit later than that, in sort of England. And Sean Connery gets this group together and they rob a train, basically. It's like a mail train.
Yeah, it's set in 1855. Anyways,
there you go, Victorian era then. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Crichton. I thought Sphere was an amazing fucking book. Of course, Jurassic Park and Lost World were good.
I like
but
the Lost World book
better
better than the film, actually.
What's that?
The Lost World, the book, I actually enjoyed better than the film.
And what's funny is the beginning of Lost World is closer to the beginning of Jurassic Park, book-wise. The book Lost World is closer to the movie Jurassic Park at the beginning, while the beginning of Lost World is more like the beginning of Jurassic Park, the book. It's weird. Anyways, they get on their yeah, they get
made sense for the movie, but anyway.
Yeah, they get their Juggernaut. We learn that the material is so volatile that even shaking too much can blow it up. They've got sensors that
there's a bomb on the bus, man.
Yeah,
I'll
get there.
50, bomb goes off.
But during this whole drive, and even though there's times where, like I said, 30, 45 seconds, you're like, yeah, you guys could have cut that and it would have been fine. But Burr, literally, he is Bo-Katan version 2.0 as far as helping undo the Watch's brainwashing on Mando, because he continues to talk about taking off the mask
and just basically in a ribby kind of snarky way as well. You know what I mean? But then, well, we'll get to the other bit when we get to it. But yeah, that whole kind of initial ride, Mando's hardly saying anything, so it could just be anybody sitting in that seat, and it's almost like Burr's just monologuing, but I actually loved that. I just thought the part of the dialogue that he was using, I just thought it was just supremely watchable. So although it might seem as if it takes a little bit long, I actually just enjoyed watching it, right? I could sit and watch an hour of the two of them driving down and having a conversation.
Well, yeah, when they're
primarily Bill Burr.
When Burr's talking, I was talking about the like 30 seconds of dead silence that they showed, and you're like, really? Why did we need this again? 30 seconds of
I think the idea is
driving.
that, it's an uncomfortable situation, so
Bill
Burr's character Mayfield's one of those guys that doesn't like those. I'm like that. I don't like uncomfortable situations,
silences,
so I tend to speak. But I'm also someone that can enjoy someone who I'm comfortable with, that you don't need to just speak, you know what I mean? So, and I suppose in some ways I'm a little bit Bill Burr and a little bit Pedro Pascal. So, depending on what side of the coin I'm on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like Burr talking, and I like him as a device to help Mando learn it's okay to show his face. And we're going to get to talking about Mando's face later on. The natives attack the Juggernaut. They're trying to place thermal detonators on the volatile equipment. Mando and Burr hear about other transports exploding, which isn't always uncommon because it's volatile, but they realize quickly that it's because of an attack by these natives.
And what's interesting is that, probably morally those natives are the good guys in this situation, and but at the end of the day, Mando isn't a saint, and certainly Mayfield's not. So Mando's thinking, okay,
right,
you're trying to blow me up, I'm taking you out. It's as simple as that. It's there's no more to think about it. It's self-preservation at the end of the day.
Right. This is a secret. Mayfield says it's a secret refinery, and it's connected to Gideon, and it's a chemical that I've never heard of. I don't know if it's ever mentioned in.
There would be no reason for it to be mentioned, because chemicals aren't mentioned much.
Right, but what I'm saying
universe.
is does it potentially have a connection to what Gideon's doing, what Thrawn might be doing, what the First Order might be doing?
Again, I don't know if you want to talk about this in order when we get to that bit, but you know, in terms of what the kind of Imperial officer is talking about to the two of them, I mean, it sounds as if the idea is to strategically just sow chaos throughout the galaxy, so that it's probably in sectors where the New Republic is sparse and people don't have anyone to turn to really, other than a couple of X-Wing pilots that might swing by this time next month on a Tuesday. And in the meantime, the Empire and the Dark Troopers and everything like that will be there as a kind of way to stop that. Of course, if it's the Imperial themselves that are clearly doing it, so I wonder if there's some kind of plan in place to have an organisation so it doesn't look like it's the Empire, you know, actually causing the chaos, so that it kind of makes people turn to them more. It kind of turns people away from the New Republic towards them,
the order
rather than
and
just
security of the Empire. Yeah. That type of mentality. Remember the Empire? It was secure. You didn't. Yeah, we blew up planets that fought against us, but not your planet.
You could walk down the street at night, you know, and you would know, you know. But if you got out of line, you'd also, you know, if you didn't follow the rules, but if you followed the rules, then you know you're safe. And you know, ultimately, that's something we've seen in our own history a billion times throughout, you know, human
China's
history.
A prime example of that right now. I will say, for legal reasons, allegedly, China's a prime example with stuff like their social credit scores, which can make it to where you can't even leave your hometown because you can't use the trains.
Guys, that you know, China's not supposed to be in any way a free country. It's supposed to be a communist country where where it's people are dictatorship to serve the good of the country rather than their own personal kind of goals and wants and needs and everything like that. That's the whole philosophy behind it. So so it's not, I mean, allegedly about it or anything like that. You know, at the end of the day, China is still a communist country, and therefore the people within it are under far more strict controls and guidelines, but probably feel safe and warm and never hungry, because ultimately that's how you have to keep people placid, isn't it? Because if ever the people rise up and say we don't want you anymore, doesn't matter how many troops you've got, unless you've got more troops and you've got actual people living in your country, you're in a losing situation. That's how all revolutions kind of start. So you know, they have to keep people happy ultimately. Do you know what I mean? But it's when that people's happiness just isn't, you know, being satisfied anymore. And the Empire is just that kind of thing, because we write what we know. We look at our own history and we say, what's an oppressive organisation? How would they work? And that's how, you know, the Empire's written.
Yeah. All good points, and when we get to the Imperials officers discussion, we'll get into more. There's Mando fights the natives on top of the train, or the Juggernaut. Sorry, Freudian Western slip, I guess. I like that they show that he takes more damage when he's not in his Beskar armor.
Sure.
The hits hurt. He grunts a lot more. I really enjoyed that,
and his
because it shows a difference.
Was still to use his armor to defend himself,
try to block,
and it wasn't really there. You know, which
did not work.
That's smart choreography. You know, that's continuity.
Yes,
which you
brilliant.
You don't always kind of get.
And it was both. It was both. Oh God. It was both character, her growth, and world building at the same time. I loved it. I thought the fight scene on top of the Juggernaut was great. His banter with Burr about speeding up or slowing down, Burr hitting the brakes, just all of it. Mando fucking throwing a spear and killing a native with a spear was insane. And then, of course, a thermal detonator does get placed, but Mando manages to throw it just in time.
I mean, it's been used in every action sequence in the history of Hollywood and will be forevermore. You know, the last minute save, the Hail Mary.
Yep.
But no problem with that.
Immediately after he throws that detonator through the fire and smoke, here comes more pirates. The Mandalorian calls them pirates. Me and you, I agree with you. Likely, they're natives. They're seeing their land torn apart and mined.
Probably freedom
they're
fighters.
The good
One
guys.
man's terrorist, another man's freedom fighter, etc., etc., etc.
Well,
depending on the fall.
In legal terms, and I'm talking like UN law of like war and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Attacking legitimate military and government targets, freedom fighter. Attacking civilians,
you're absolutely right.
terrorists.
Because that's why the IRA famously went from being a sort of just a paramilitary organisation to being a terrorist organisation because they started targeting civilians.
They went from having some good support to that I can't remember his name, but I think he was an MP. He was the first MP killed by the IRA, I think, or it was an attempt. Anyways, whenever they started doing that shit,
it was a cousin of the Royals, I believe. I can't remember his name now.
Anyways, the pirates are still coming, and lo and behold, here comes some TIE fighters and a troop of stormtroopers and other troopers in similar armor that Mando and Mayfield are wearing, and they help get them into the refinery to big applause. The troopers salute the Juggernaut coming in. It really humanizes the Imperials that hey, we just had this successful mission. We protected our men. We're celebrating. I liked that scene. What did you think about it?
It's juxtaposed, and that's the important thing, against what happens next, because that's the important part of it. Because yes, we're allowed for a moment to almost see a war film from the Nazi point of view, and your own guys get back, but that doesn't mean that that's a good thing morally overall, and that's what we find out, that getting this stuff back, it's not helping people rebuild anything, it's not keeping people, it's being used for a far more sinister purpose.
But
so you get to feel that moment and then have yourself brought back down to kind of earth to say, oh, these are still bad guys, and then you almost feel guilty about that little well done moment a minute ago, and I quite like that. I quite like that. I like that, changing polarities on you a little bit.
Right. And
makes you think, makes you feel,
I'll say this as a fan of history with a historian father, published historian father.
Well, I mean, American history, so that you only need to learn.
Well, he's military history, worldwide military history. I forgot the point that I was gonna
something about history.
Make with as far as seeing things from the bad guy's point of view, a lot of people know that the German regular army, the Wehrmacht, I think it's called, was different than the SS and the Nazi Party themselves. It does not absolve them.
Conscripted troops.
Right.
At the end of the day, that either had the choice to be shot or join the army.
Right. And like I said,
that's no choice at all.
It doesn't absolve.
But the vast majority of the German, even forces, were not aware of like the kind of horrors that were going on in the concentration camps,
and it puts things in context. So I like I liked that seeing those Imperials celebrate, because I don't know if they think the same way as this officer that we're about to talk about.
Well, it's like that classic, sketch where the meme where it's somebody in the Nazis. There's a famous kind of a sketch show in Britain where it's the Nazis and they're talking, and the guy turns and goes, "Wait a minute. Are we the baddies?" Do you know what I mean? And it's like that kind of situation, Maybe they just don't realise that they're the bad guys, or that they're brainwashed to believe that order is the only way, etc., 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 which clearly is a common imperial philosophy among certainly their senior staff. So you imagine that's bred into the troops at an early age as well. At the end of the day, they don't take any chances. They condition their troops, in a way that we would find immoral now. But if we look at our own history, propaganda and stuff like that, kind of every army's done that a little bit themselves anyway.
Oh yeah,
over the years, every single one, because it's war and shit happens.
Every nation that has ever existed on this earth, from all 6 populated continents, has committed atrocities and done bad things. So 150,000 years of human history. We've done. All of us have done some bad stuff, but anyways,
bad shit in history.
Inside the refinery, Mayfield is going to go to the terminal, but he sees a officer that he served under. Did you catch the officer's name?
I did, and now it's escaped me. I'm looking at it on the subtitle at the moment, and it was.
Hold on, I'm bringing up.
I know you bring it up, but I can't but try and see if I can bring it up because I'm looking at it, that way. I'm visualizing how it looks on the screen, and I can almost make it out.
Gunnery officer, juggernaut pilot, Valen Hess. Was that it?
Valen Hess.
Yep, there it is.
100%. Yep. I had the V and the H in there, but I didn't have them in the right way, and I couldn't make it the rest. Sorry.
So, Mayfield
almost
sees
went Van Halen, and I was like, that's not right. That's not right. I'm not even saying that.
Close, but yeah.
It wasn't Van
Halen. And he says, "I can't go in there. I served under him. He might recognize me." That's not the real reason he didn't want to go in there. We find out in a minute.
I know, and I really liked that, because it didn't kind of make sense to me almost at the time.
Right.
A little bit. It kind of felt like at the start, the bit we talked about, but no, that wasn't the case. So.
Yep. So, Mando says, "I'll do it," and Mayfield's like, "No, you need a face scan to access the terminal." Again, I think they call this an ex machina or something like that. It's really like what scanning the Mandalorian's face. It wouldn't be on their database, and it wouldn't offer them any access. And if it scanned Bill Burr's face, it would say ex-Imperial deserter, whatever the fuck, or Republic
I don't know if he
prisoner,
ever actually did desert though. But what you're kind of wondering is that whether they have anybody on file, or whether they they can't, because they go through troops so often. I mean, imagine the admin of that. You're a military man, Kel, so imagine you had systems like that set up in the military, but you were in as many battles and you lost as many troops as the Empire does, so you were basically a really shit army. Think of the admin time to update all those facial records all the time and getting it all put down.
Sure.
So this is me getting really practical at the moment. So maybe it's easier to just say, right, here's a list of faces that we don't like, program them in, and then if they're not one of them, it's probably one of fucking our guys.
Maybe that could be it.
I mean,
but It does.
Didn't matter to me in this scene as much as it mattered to me earlier on.
Right. So Mando puts the thumb drive in. He tries to let it scan his face with the mask on, and it doesn't work. There's an alarm.
I mean, that I thought though, of course it's not going to fucking work. That that was just there to build tension. To kind of have it do that.
He really does not want to take off his mask.
He doesn't know though that it's not going to give him time to have another chance. That it's going to give him a countdown because he's never used one of these systems before.
Exactly.
So suppose he just kind of shat it, if you like. He was going to do it. He shat at it, and then he's got a timer. And now he's really shitting it, and he's going, I need to make a decision, and he just manages to make the correct decision within.
He does.
The right time.
Pascal. Someone on the internet said that the last 3 episodes of Mandalorian, Pascal was not in the armor. I'm pretty certain we watched Pedro Pascal take off his mask.
Well, interestingly, of all the episodes that you could say that of, this is the only one you could say that's not the case. Of course, you don't know, like, shooting order. They might, that's the thing, though, that maybe would back up this person, is that you don't necessarily shoot in the order.
Yes, you don't shoot in order. But so that person said specifically, they said that the last 3 episodes, Pedro's not in the armor. So,
yeah. Which, that made me think right away, they don't film it. Nobody ever films in order. For example, just for the people that are thinking, what's he talking about there? You have Navarro, right? And you have Grief Karga and you have Cara Dune. You don't bring Cara Dune in 1 week and say, right, you're not needed for 3 weeks. Go home, Gina Carano. Now come back for a scene here. You don't do that. No, so you've got Gina Carano in the office, if you like,
as quickly as you can.
You get her in. If you were getting that scene, we don't know if this is the case, but if there's one scene where Pascal's get his face out in this series,
it could have been
you
really
could have filmed
that
in
recording.
day 1 for all we know. Do you know
or
what I mean?
all we know. But like I said, I'm just going based off of what this person was saying online. Now, I will say this: we always talk about the duality of samurai films, Kurosawa type films, and westerns, because westerns were inspired by the samurai films. There is a lot of Ghosts of Tsushima in this episode. It's funny because they're both named Jin. First off, Jin Sakai in Ghosts of Tsushima, and Jin Darren.
It's actually Din.
Rather
than Jin. Din Jaren.
There we go. Okay, so similar names, but in Ghosts of Tsushima, you have a samurai who has been taught from life a certain way to fight. It's always front to front, no sneakiness, no assassinations, no murder, nothing like that.
An honourable way of fighting, for example, like a chivalrous way to fight, as opposed to, like in Game of Thrones, I know you didn't watch it, you had like the knights, and they would fight a certain way, and then you'd have cell swords that like, I'll throw a fucking bit of sand in your face and then stab you with a glass bottle. I don't give a fuck,
So in Ghosts of Tsushima, Kublai Khan, grandson of the Genghis Khan, during the second attempt for the Mongolians to invade Japan, it's alternative history, Ghost of Tsushima. Jin is dealing with having to be more ninja-like, which is a complete 180 from samurai. They are all sneaky, assassination, cheating, everything that is not him. And
the fact that they hide their face for a start is less honourable than a samurai.
Exactly. And here Pascal is going through the same thing as you play through Ghosts of Tsushima, and you realize that you can't take out a whole town as a samurai by yourself, but you can go around, poison their water, killing people from behind, and you can do a really good job. And Jin in the game realizes if he's going to beat Kublai Khan, he's going to have to sacrifice his samurai code. And Din, the Mandalorian, is realizing the same, and he realizes it as this alarm is going off, and off comes the helmet, face is scanned, and he gets the coordinates, and that's when the Hess comes over, starts questioning Mando, who doesn't know anything about Imperials. He wants a TK number. I will say this.
I thought I was going to say 1138.
I don't like that they have made TK like
a stand
army wide. Yeah. I don't know that
I get you. It's that detail, little detail that a nerd. I don't mean offensive to say this because I'm one as well. A nerd like you would pick up on. You know what I mean?
Well, just like it's a military thing, also.
Yeah, I get it. I actually totally get it. And it's just these little things are always going to depend on whether it annoys you or not. And some of them will annoy one person, and some of them won't annoy another. Exactly. However, they all annoy you.
I am sometimes able to.
I was watching you in that live stream last night.
Oh God!
When Nick started, when Lando got announced, and you thought it was going to be a solo continuation. You know, I thought you were actually going to have a collapse.
Just about.
And Nick was trying to say, you know, I like Solo. You know, I mean, you were like, just like, no. It was like Skywalker when he gets told Vader's his dad.
No. I will say this though. Looking at the official documents from the Investor Day program, the Lando series. They do not know if this is Donald Glover or Billy D. Williams. Okay, we know there was a rumor
the rumor I've heard is that they're both going to be in it, and there's going to be like a jump back. So we're kind of and I am going to even guess. I'll go this far. This is pure guess. I've not heard anything about this. Please don't. This isn't an LRM rumor. This is just Cam's stupid fucking speculation. But I do have usually a pretty good track record with this. I think the show's premise, because they cut this out of the film, was at least originally supposed to be. I don't know whether this will change. Billy D. Williams and the actress that played Jana, who's actually supposed to be his daughter. That he is getting to know her, and he's telling stories about his younger days, and
maybe find her mom or something.
Well, I don't know about that, but I don't know how much it'll be. Just like, do you know, like, remember the way old Indy, like Young Indy was done, and it was like introduced by Harrison Ford, who just probably spent 2 hours doing for every episode, where he would come in and he would do like a little bit of narration and things at the start sometimes, and then you'd cut into the actual. This is what happened back in yonder years. I could see a situation like that coming, almost where they're sitting by a campfire talking, and you know, they just go back and forth. That's always an interesting idea for a show, that, because you can do nice little moments with your narrator cast. You know what I mean, that. And you can go in unexpected places with that as well, while you tell actually a complete story in the flashback as well. As long as it's just not like, tell me what happened next, Dad. You know what I mean? That kind of, which we've seen done a billion times. Well, next, and then it cuts to, you know, because there's a way to do these things well and professionally, and then there's the cliche way of doing them all. I've seen this a million times before. I genuinely think that could work.
Well, yeah, it could. Definitely. Continuing on. and I'm gonna let you really talk a lot about this Imperial conversation because I know you really enjoyed it. Did you catch the Office Space TPS joke? TPS reports?
Space? No, I don't.
Okay,
I
so
don't know Office Space.
Office Space is a funny movie from Mike Judge, who created Beavis and Butthead. Also did Extract and Idiocracy. Anyways, Bill Burr says when he's trying to help Mando from Hess, gives him a TK number and all of that. He says, "Come on, let's go do our TPS reports." It was a nice joke from Office Space for people that like that. Burr is a highly dissatisfied former Imperial. The officer Hess offers them a drink to celebrate getting the Juggernaut into the facility. Cam, describe Hess's conversation. Burr's reaction. Just you take away the scene. Ask me any questions you want.
Sure. I absolutely loved this scene. It was one of my favourite scenes in all of the Mandalorian so far because I like a little intimate character moments, and it's very rare in Star Wars that we get intimate little character moments like that. So when we can have it, I'm all for it. What we've seen mostly in Mando is a lot of those little things have been between Mando and Grogu. But this week it kind of put the focus on Mando being almost the outsider watching on. And it felt like it very much, again, going back to the Western roots, it felt like that. They're sitting at a bar and, you've got these two bounty hunters and this guy's someone he's known for his past and all that sort of stuff. But being that it's Star Wars and we're talking galactic levels, everything's ramped up to the max. So, as they're asked to go and sit down and, at first it seems as if obviously Bill Burr's character Mayfield is just going to kind of shoot the breeze, but I think gradually, there's certainly there's a turning point in the conversation, clearly, but I think there's a couple of little clues beforehand that actually he's almost kind of just pushing him on because he's flipped, in his head he's flipped just to, being that close to him, he's already gone. You know what I mean? And that although Mando doesn't know what's happening, I think at some point, by the time they've sat down, Mayfield's already decided he's going to blow this fucking guy's head off, basically. And we just see that evolve throughout the conversation. I read a couple of people online were saying, this was a comment that stuck in my head today, that the actor, sorry I forget his name, that played Valen Hess, he also played the Night King for a little while. Anyway,
Richard Brake is his name. Yeah,
that's him. I've wrote about him a couple of times. He played the Night King for a little while, and anyway, he's a good actor. And the comment I'd read is that that guy creeped me out. Every word he was saying, I just wanted to get myself out of that conversation. And he's just that kind of actor. I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life, but he can just give that very kind of ethereal, sociopathic vibe, which is probably what got him work in the first place, is that he's got a very unique look to him. That's what we like in Hollywood, isn't it, at times? And he's just one of those guys that plays a really good villain, but he's a good actor, and he does it, and it's quite a subtle way. You could play that really over the top. I think it'd be so easy to play it over the top, but I liked how kind of subtle it all was. And the fact that he thinks he's speaking to people that have got the same sort of worldview as well as him means that it's not a kind of performance. It's just him being like he is. And I just thought it was a great reminder of the fact that the Empire, or what is left of them, will do anything just to get themselves into power, because they truly believe, that's their philosophy, that to control and order everyone and make sure everybody follows the rules is the only way that the galaxy can actually function in any kind of way. That's what they truly believe, and they feel that the cost of having that is worth anything. So, it doesn't matter how many lives you kill, anything like that. And we find out that the Imperial officer had basically ordered what seems to be a strike or a burnout in an entire city that had Mayfield's unit in it. And probably loads of his friends the people he worked with, you know, just wiped out. He says they killed about 8 to 10,000 people in you know, one moment, which is genocide by anyone's standards. And it's just the kind of blasé way that, you know, the Imperial officer then deals with that. And he does talk specifically, which I thought might, I don't know if you noticed this, and he says that he talks about order. And I wonder if that was a subtle reference to where things are going in terms of the First Order.
Yeah.
Did you think that was, or
possibly? I've been looking, and of course with Grogu, those clone vats, the M word. A lot of us are expecting, or at least thinking of connections to what Palpatine is trying to do in the First Order and eventual Final Order. But honestly, I would really like to see it where it's Gideon being selfish and trying to set himself up, maybe even to go against Thrawn for control of the Empire.
I would like either or. I would like either that, you know, they deal with Gideon eventually, so he's actually not the big bad, so they escalate, do you know what I mean? And then you realise that the big bad was actually his boss, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and you know, you get a shot at his fleet and you realise, oh, this isn't so you know, 1-star destroyer and a few dark troopers. This is a proper empire here that, you know, they've got to contend with going forward, you know, because that escalates things. When you get into something like this, you need to keep kind of escalating and raising the stakes, don't you?
Yes.
You know, you know, sometimes it can be a mistake not to do that. So I wonder if, you know, if Esposito's really going to play Gideon for 5, 6, 7 seasons, or whether he'll have a kind of end point and then it'll morph into where they're going with kind of Thrawn, Ezra, Ahsoka, all of that sort of stuff. And our colleague Mike, one of my fellow senior editors at LRM, Mike Connolly, thinks that there's a good chance that it could all be like almost like the Darksaber is the central thing that kind of everything's built around, you know, because it was very prominent in what happened with Rebels as well. And Mandalore was a heavy presence in Rebels, and it could all be leading up to basically what happens with Mandalore overall and who gets control of it. It's an interesting theory, you know. I don't know if he's right on that one, you know, but when, you know, usually when people come up with something good and you think, that could work, you know, it piques your interest. So I think that's one that definitely piqued my interest. But just the whole scene's great with, you know, with Hess, and I like the, you know, Hess is a very German name as well, and, you know, there's a lot of similarities between, you know, the Nazi regime and the Empire.
Yeah, there's no doubt what they're making correlations to.
No, you know, again, it's relating the Empire back to the real monsters we had in our own history that were just as bad, if anything, than the Empire were. You know, it just, what I love about the scene as well is that Pascal's hardly involved, but because he's got his face it, one of those few times he's got his face it, we really get to see him act facially.
Yes. And
it's just, he's looking from one to the other, and you see him almost like the audience. He starts to put the pieces of the puzzle together himself. And he starts to become more and more anxious as the conversation goes on, that this isn't just a friendly drink, this is leading a bad place. But at the same time, he's not giving Mayfield the "don't you fucking dare do this" eyes.
No,
because I think he gets it. He actually gets it. He totally gets it himself, and he develops an understanding of Mayfield's place at that time, I think, as the kind of process falls through, and it ends in a very inevitable way. Long live the Empire, I think it is, he says, and that's enough. Mayfield basically just brings out a blaster and bang. And I love the way that everyone just stops for a minute.
Before they react.
And the guy's holding his canteen. You know what I mean? He's just got his lunch tray and he's looking as if, you know, it's like almost like a high school scene. He's just, I'm in the fucking wrong place here. Why did I have to get my lunch 15 minutes early today? Why didn't I just finish my shift as normal? You know, it's almost that kind of moment. And before he can think, Mayfield's blasted him as well, and we're in a gunfight. I don't know if that's where you want to kind of take back over to get into the action scene at the end, but
sure.
Is there anything you want to, obviously, add to how I put that scene across, because to me it was a phenomenal scene. It told us so much about Mando, about Mayfield, about everything that's kind of happening at this period of time. You know, within the Empire that will become the First Order, and the New Republic that will fall apart. You know, there's so much going on in that one scene. It's almost like it's just one of those scenes that you'll look back on and say, I'd watch that again. It's like when Mando talks to the client in season 1. All of the tension that's in those scenes is just really palpable, you know, and that's because Werner Herzog's absolutely amazing as well. So I just loved it. It was almost like a good, the bad, and the ugly, the three people just going between their eyes and seeing what's going on at the same time. Great.
Very good. A couple notes that I wrote down on it. Burr showing he's the third named former Imperial that we really find out had serious reservations about what the Empire was doing, and it humanizes them. We know what the clone troopers were. They've got a clock set. We know what the First Order does with conscription and brainwashing.
Troopers, you see that more so. You don't see it in the films, but I know you've not watched the Clone Wars. But the Clone Wars really get into how the clone troopers don't want to turn against the Jedi. There is a switch in them that flips. That there's nothing they can do. They're almost like robots, just programmed in kill mode. You know?
So I really liked it. It humanizes, again, correlations to World War II, Nazi Germany versus compared to the regular army. Burr here, man, I gotta give this comedian a lot of credit in showing dissatisfaction, and again, like you said, to Pedro Pascal, showing panic, showing a poker face, like trying to feign confidence.
Yeah, but he's trying to do a poker face for somebody who's never used to anybody seeing their face and is not well practiced in it.
Exactly. You know? And I loved it because he did it so well. And I love I love Hess, his speech about order and how the galaxy will welcome the Empire back reminded me of Loki's speech from the Avengers, where he tells everyone kneel and he says, "Isn't this your natural state of being?" Because Hess believes the same thing, that people need to be ruled. They need that order, and that's the natural state of beings. So I like that. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but I caught that Loki and Hess's speech have some similarities. I like that. Did you catch that, or do you see it now that I mention it?
Definitely. I mean, it's quite a generic thing. I mean, it's just what I expect from a government and organisation that's set up like the Empire. It's typical antagonistic behaviour. I'm right and everybody should follow my rules because I know better than everybody else, which is ultimately, where all this comes from in our own history, is somebody thinking they know better than everybody else and everybody should do things their way. And if they're not going to do it, we'll make you do it.
And dozens of dictators have said similar things in real life. It's just that Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars, so I think I'm always thinking of writers and actors, filmmakers, creators, all of it, that they're fans too. So why not pay homage to something that you liked? So I could see where it might be. Anyways, Mayfield talks about the Operation Cinder, like you said, and he shoots the shitty fucking imp. It takes people a minute to react, but we get a firefight the two guys manage to get outside, where we join up with the rest of our team, and we get a nice action set piece for the escape. I'm going to cover all of the escape, basically, and get to the end of the...
Just before we move on, one more thing I wanted
Go ahead.
to say about the whole kind of Empire's sort of plan and you know, people welcoming them back. It would have been nice to have some of this kind of shit in the sequel trilogy, where instead of the First Order just appearing for no reason and no one doing anything about it, that actually that there were people who went back to them. You know, that they actually began small and built themselves back up again until you get to the point where you're almost like two opposing forces again. It would have been almost like the German remilitarization after World War One into World War Two, where, you know, everybody just, it's fine, we'll just leave it. And then before you knew it, you know, blitzkrieg and away we go. Do you know what I mean? I would have appreciated that kind of world building in the sequel trilogy. And if the Mandalorian can give us that in a long format, it is actually, it's potential that becomes something that I don't have an issue with anymore in the sequel trilogy. Would you agree with that? Going forward, because if canonically they've done a job of explaining it, I don't think it's right. I think it's fixing mistakes.
Well, it's just like I mentioned. It
doesn't really matter if you fix a mistake. It's still fixed, isn't it?
It's just like I mentioned yesterday during the live stream when they announced crap. What was the last thing you had said? World building. World building. There we go. When they mentioned Rogue Squadron and all of that. Nick and Mike were under the impression that setting Rogue Squadron between episodes 4 and 5, or even 5 and 6, but they had specifically said 4 and 5 would be a good idea. I said no.
So you can bring back Wedge and all that.
You can still bring back them. You can still bring back Wedge recast, but I said no for this reason. I said. Even in canon, because of the comic books, they've already covered Rogue Squadron, some in the new canon comics. Luke still is a co-founder with Wedge, and
he's a leader right up until, you know, he kind of disappears after Empire Strikes Back for a little bit. He's rogue leader, so you know, he's very much involved. Right, you know, in the story at that point.
And in this comic, this one particular issue, they name Rogue Squadron because of Rogue One, Luke and Wedge. So I get that you want to recast them, but I said to do immediately after Return of the Jedi, because we don't have enough stuff connecting 6 to 7. And Mike brought up the Aftermath books, but
I watched that part.
Yeah, I countered because you and I both know the books don't continue the story very much. It's all self-contained.
Too vague. It's like they were too frightened to canonize anything, so they just stayed away from it and gave us vague descriptions which could go any way, you know what I mean, and mentioned people going off in places and doing nefarious things. Right. So it was almost like, here's how things could have went a certain way, but we don't really want to fill in the blanks of where it goes next. So I actually agree with you, because if I think about Rogue Squadron, I think about the Stackpole books, you know, and
which are all post
Return of the Jedi, which is the period we're in now in The Mandalorian anyway, you know, like 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
And I'm talking like start Rogue the day after Endor.
Yeah, but just anywhere around that period. I agree. That's where I would go.
I think the same way that Stackpole started the Rogue Squadron books, where it's like, hey, Rogue Squadron's been decimated because of the war. We need to rebuild it. There you go. There's the start of your movie. Recast Wedge. Luke is off doing Jedi training stuff. Bring in a few familiar names, at least Wes Jansen. I think they killed Hobby in the new canon. I think Hobby's dead in new canon. Right. So that kind of sucks, but at least we get Wes and Wedge. I don't think we're gonna get Coron Horn. Anyways, let's finish up Mando before we get there. Anyways, the escape.
We haven't even got to that, but I'm hoping you don't hate because of its prequel connection. But
we'll get there. We'll get there. So the escape starts happening. Okay, Mayfield and Mando are trying to escape out on a ledge. Kara and Fennec are doing their sniper bit where they're shooting troopers. When the boys reach the roof, they call Fett in, and then Fennec helps to take out the anti-air. Fett comes in, lowers the hatch. The boys make a big jump, get in, and Slave One takes off. And a really nice ode to the OT, or excuse me, to the PT, and an ode to one of the games that I loved using this weapon on. I can't remember if it was one of the Rogue Squadron games or something, but there was a fighter game or a Star Wars game, and you get a chance to fly around in Jango's ship and use the sonic bombs. Yes, Cam.
I think it was.
I hate the prequels. I liked the sonic bomb.
Good, because I loved it. I used to love and I don't have a surround system anymore because I can never turn the TV up that loud anymore. I would just wake too many people up, etc. But at one time I had a surround sound, and I used to love just because the sound of that and the surround sound, the way it just went, you know, it was mega. It was like one of those scenes where you'd say to people, I don't know if I like surround sound. You'd say, oh, come and listen to this scene, let me put this DVD in, you know, as it was back in the day. So yeah, no, I loved that little moment, absolutely.
Nice.
Great.
So, they after the bomb.
Do you think he should have said? Sorry. Do you think he should have said? Well, we won't be seeing him again.
Oh. Oh God, no, I hate the prequels.
No. That's where you go too far. That's the button when you go. That's too far.
But the dialogue was corny and intentional, Cam. Whatever.
Oh yeah, I read that the other day.
Anyways,
I made a film shit on purpose.
Yeah. Whatever. Okay. After the or during the escape, Mayfield takes a sniper rifle, shoots some containers of the volatile equipment, and blows up a good chunk of the refinery.
The unobtainium.
Yep, the unobtainium.
The adamantium.
They land to pick up Fennec and Kara, of course. And Dune lets Mayfield go. They say that she's going to file a report that he was killed during the mission, and they leave him there. Slave
You're
One.
all right, Mayfield.
Right. Burr in that moment is hilarious because he doesn't really believe it. It's funny, and we can talk about it.
Shoot me?
Yeah,
you know what I'm
more here in just a second.
He keeps turning back.
Yeah, we did not get a Moff or Imperial heavy episode like we thought we would. It's a missed chance to show more bad guys.
Well, I mean, in saying that, the story made sense, and it would have had to be maybe next week's will be, you could have a next week's episode told from the point of view, for example, of Gideon, and then they're being attacked and they don't know what's going on. I mean, that could be interesting. I don't think they'll do it.
I just wanted, I wrote it down.
Maybe they're still just saving some of that just now, but I know we talked about it and we thought it might be an episode where there's less action and more back and forth Do you know what I mean? Between one thing and the other. And I think sometimes in a story, eventually, not to begin with, but eventually you need to start spending some time with the bad guys as well.
Yes.
That's important. And it's one of the things that Empire Strikes Back does really well.
Yeah,
which is my favourite movie
and
of all time.
It's what's
and
been
Return of the Jedi.
It's what's been missing this season to me is we should have gotten I would
More
say
Gideon,
out of these eight episodes, I think at least through episode 7 we should have already gotten about 30 minutes worth of good storytelling and setup and development from the Imperial side. What do you think? 45 minutes in 7 episodes?
We've got one episode to go.
Yeah.
At the moment, season 2 feels to me like almost like the Empire Strikes Back, but without that part of it in there. In terms of like, there's a very minuscule plot going on in Mandalorian season 2.
Yes.
Mando's searching for somebody to take the child, learns to love the child along the way and doesn't want to lose him. Meanwhile, Imperials track him, get the child back again, go on a rescue mission.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And that's basically all that's happened in Mando season 2. So it's been more about sort of character development, world building,
which is why I wanted
in a
some
second season.
Stuff from the bad guys.
Yeah, but I think that's going to be more.
Season 3.
That's going to happen in season 3 because Esposito spoke about how that he thinks we'll see more Gideon in season 3 than we did in season 2. So I was kind of expecting that this will build up, but I did think we would. Like you, I thought we would see more this week.
Yeah. So the final shot is Mandalorian. Din Djarin sending a hollow message to Gideon, basically saying, "I've got your coordinates. I know where you're at. I'm coming for you." But he makes a tactical mistake when he says that the kid means more to him than you will ever know. That's a tactical mistake. But then he's
echoing exactly what Gideon said to him in season 1. So it's the exact same words.
I get it.
So
but
he might just think that's being repeated back to me for dramatic effect more than he'll say, I'm going to use this against you. But I think it doesn't matter because he knows if Din's willing to come back and go for the child,
it's going to be a fight
already
no matter
established that he cares about him anyway, and he could use that against him. Because one thing we do know is, but do you think? And I don't think he would. I don't think Gideon would, for example, kill Grogu to stop Mando getting him back, because I think he genuinely wants him more than he'd be willing to actually let Grogu and then get him back again. Do you know what I mean? Because he doesn't have anybody else that he can go to that's got the force ability that he needs for whatever he's trying to work out. So let me ask you this, because I loved that final scene as well, but I do understand what you mean tactically, but I just don't think it's too bad in this particular instance.
Possibly, like you said, I didn't make that connection when I initially watched it and wrote down the note that he's repeating what Gideon said. So my note might be completely pointless on the tactical side, and it might actually be a tactically genius move because Esposito
Gideon's head
did look kind of scared.
Well, it's just that mentality. It gets in your head, that, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It makes you think twice, whereas he was supremely confident before. And remember, he already had them vastly outnumbered, was supremely confident before, and
yet this guy is
just
almost tearing that apart piece by piece. Yeah.
So what could he do? You know what I mean? And could even bring the New Republic, which would be a serious threat for Gideon. So Gideon's got to think about all of these things. But I think he would intelligently look at that and say, nope, he won't go for the New Republic. Mando's too much a loner. I can do this myself. Do you know what I mean? He'll basically come at me on his own. But there's a lot to happen next week, let's say. But let me ask you this. This is what I was going to get to.
Sure.
Does it get resolved at the end of this season,
No.
or do they leave you on some sort of maybe more cliffhanger situation?
Me and you talked about how about this before. We don't think Grogu will return to the Mandalorian's hands
Or
this
at
season.
least
Not at the end of episode 8.
in a happy ending, let's go off on our travels again. I think they need to start season 3 with a bit more purpose, and that's a way to start season 3 in a completely different situation. But at the same time, if the Imperials do end up with Grogu, it would give us a very good reason to spend more time with the Imperials, because they also know they can't just not have any Grogu in it because he's too popular. So they need to have him in it. So with him staying with the Imperials could give us that chance to we see things from Grogu's point of view or Gideon's point of view, and then we jump back to. So all I'm saying is this: that's what I would do.
Yeah,
I
agree.
If I was writing it, that's where I would go.
I still would have added
a slightly more of a downer ending this season.
Yeah, I still would have added more Imperial stuff in season 2 if it were me, but I do agree with you that the way season 3 seems to be shaping up. I'll say this, right now on IMDb, they have episode 8 listed as 40 minutes.
That's short for the finale.
Yeah, don't know if that's going to hold out to be true or not, but that's what IMDb.
That's why I don't think there's going to be just some big climax where everybody talks, because people are just waiting like, so Ahsoka's going to show back up,
I said that
going to show
early
back
on.
Up.
Yep.
They're all going to come and they're all going to rescue Grogu back. There doesn't seem enough time for all of that to happen. You'd need to be building
it was
that
in season
team this week.
1 with.
So I think it might be a slightly more downplayed. You know, like they fail. Again, as we talked about, they maybe fail to rescue Grogu.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, and you know, even potential deaths as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could see Fennec getting killed or something like that. I don't think they'd be brave enough to kill Boba Fett after they've brought him back because he's not went through enough development for that yet. But Fennec's not as big a character as that yet.
She's a good choice to knock off, possibly. We know it's not going to be Dune. What about Karga? Do you think Grief could be killed off?
I just don't see him being there. I don't. You know, he could maybe. Yeah, I ain't too old for this shit. I'm going to help. I'm going to help the kid. And he could, you know, like back in his Apollo Creed days, he could come out of retirement to take on Rocky one last time when he should have really hung up his boots and then get killed. That's absolutely possible if they want to pull on the emotional heartstrings. But I'll tell you this, if Grief Karga somehow shows up next week, then right away I'm going to think that's what's going to happen.
That he's going to
die. And therefore,
yeah.
It's not going to have the emotional impact it's supposed to have on me.
That's true.
So I don't think that's good writing. I'll say that right now.
Before we get into more of the after show stuff, any other words on the final scenes? We already talked about the bomb. So Mayfield being let go. Yeah. Any words on that? Nothing to add that we didn't talk about at the time, or you already put in yourself. No? Yeah, I liked it. It was great. It was funny. I like how he was all like, really? Seriously? But how's he going to get off planet? And will we see him again?
Third world planet, if you like. I'm imagining, you know, there is Imperial forces still there's about. He's going to be able to find his way off, isn't he? You know what I mean? He seems like a reasonably resourceful, snaky kind of guy. So
here's my after show notes and questions. We already talked about a couple of them. We said we think that the kid staying with the Empire, episode 8 will end in failure. Well, I would give it 70-30. That's the way I would go. Right. That's the theory. Do you think a Jedi will show up? And if so, do you think it's one that we know? No, because I think that would be Deus Ex Machina almost. You know what I mean?
It kind of it lessens whatever effort Mando has to go through by suddenly bringing somebody in who just, you know, for all intensive purposes does what Luke Skywalker says you can't do, waves a laser sword about and beats the Empire.
Right.
You know, that would have especially have less impact if that's a Jedi we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If it was Ahsoka, it would be slightly more acceptable, but it would need to be a situation where Mando goes to her for help, rather than, I don't like the idea of whoever Grogu might have communicated with turning up. I think that's a thread that should be left hanging for season 3.
I agree.
Me. Yeah.
I agree. I would be interested in seeing a Jedi receive the message.
Now that, like a little stinger of someone, you know, putting a hood up or something like that, something to get us speculating, I could go
and
with
saying
that.
Grogu or something, you know. And it might even be a good way to tease Ezra.
That, but, well, I don't, because
they don't even have to have someone cast yet.
Well, it depends how they do that, though, doesn't it? That's been dangerous before. You look at Thanos in Avengers, and he looks very different from the Thanos from Endgame, and you know that's because they hadn't really developed him as a character. What they announced
for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Fernum, I think that's how you pronounce her name, that played the older Cassie Lang.
Yeah.
In Endgame, she's not going to be in Quantum Mania. A different actress will be the Cassie Lang in Ant-Man 3.
I wonder why that is. I guess they just felt she wasn't big enough where whatever technical problem they were having contract-wise it ever couldn't be resolved, you know.
The girl that they got did a good job.
Maybe she had some scheduling conflicts and it wasn't that big a role necessarily going forward or guaranteed compared to something else. I mean, there's people make choices of their careers all the time,
right?
And, you know, if they never put her in a contract to begin with, you just have to accept these things. Yeah. You know, I mean, if you want somebody and you want to make sure that they always come back, you kind of have to give them a contract, or you have to persuade them to come back at a time that suits them and at a money that that they're happy with, and that's not always going to happen.
So, casting, interesting idea. I do want to see, like you said, a hood being put up. I'm coming. I hear you. If it's
very generic,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's very, I wouldn't even want a voice, because then I'm attached to a voice, and and then we find out later on, it was just voice actor. Billy Smith. That's done.
Yeah, but what if it was games, like? What if it was like 2 or 3 Jedi that come with him, and one of them is the main Jedi is someone
like,
famous.
Maybe see a vision. What about this, where you maybe see a vision through the Force of sort of Grogu and the Seeing Stone, and you see somebody reacting. Or what you can see is a hooded figure, and they get up and walk, but you don't see anything to identify them whatsoever. So it's a complete mystery.
Maybe
now that'd be cool. Then if it ended up being Ezra, but I think tying to him directly at this point,
I like
too much.
I like your idea of keeping it real vague. I don't mind there
being
being
a to get people speculating who is this, and there'll be a million theories about who this Jedi is.
But I will say this: I do want, when they get the message or whatever, and they stand up and they put on their hood, what I want is the lightsaber to be on a shelf, and I want them to use the Force to grab it, and that's when the scene goes black. That's what I want.
I would even be happy to see them stand up and see the lightsaber on their belt or something like that. Might even be more subtle.
You really, really want it to be subtle. I want a little bit of
see, when you're teasing something at the end of something, and that's, if you want to tease, the idea is, how much can I tease them but give them so little?
Right.
Give them the littlest I can to make it tantalising,
and
so that they all come back for season 3 and they all want to know who this is.
Right.
And if you give too much away, you ruin some of that anticipation, which is part of the fun in these things. It's like the old Saturday morning Flash Gordon serials. what will happen next week? You know, and they're on a tree. Will Ming the Merciless cut Flash Gordon too, or will he be able to save the day?
Yeah.
Come next week to the theatre, and you had to turn up next week and pay your 5 cents or so many shillings or whatever it was in this country if you wanted to see it. But at the same time, if you missed a few weeks, you could kind of still come back and follow the plot, because they always said previously last week's Flash Gordon. You know, which is kind of the way Mando is.
Like I said, I like your idea of keeping it anonymous, subtle, but I want a little Flash with at least grabbing the lightsaber. But don't ignite it. No one should. It's like a gun. At the end of Solo, when Maul lights
isn't he specifically trying to be threatening though?
He was talking to his partner.
So
there was no
holding
point.
holding a pole up with nothing on it and going, "Now you remember to follow the rules," isn't the same as holding a gun up without firing it. You kind of, if I had a lightsaber and I was trying to threaten somebody with it, I would light it up. You know, but in principle, I agree with you that you shouldn't be just lighting it up. Like, call it action, light my lightsaber, even though I'm in the middle of somewhere and then you just switch. You know, almost want to see a robot chicken where they just go,
now,
actually, I don't need this now, and they switch it off and they go, they get in their ship and they fly away.
What if the complete theory, it's not even a rumor, this is theories from people out on the interwebs. What if we saw the hooded figure and he does turn on the lightsaber and it's purple?
Well,
what would you say about that?
That's too much for me, because then all you do is you have a million interviews with Samuel L. Jackson later on saying, when did you know you were back? You've revealed it. You've announced Mace Windu's coming back.
Which I don't want.
There's no point in trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with it, but if you're going to bring him back, try and keep it a secret. Okay. And I would rather see him come back in a different way. Certainly not the way I would expect him just to come back and like, yes, I'm going to rebuild the Jedi Order. And, because Mace Windu absolutely was channeling the dark side when he fights Palps, because he was unarmed and he was willing to strike him down.
Windu was a great Jedi. Hey, absolutely. I wholeheartedly believe.
I would imagine what happened to him would not have sent him on a good path, but
maybe not
a darker path.
But what do you think if it was Mace that got Grogu out? Because that's another theory that's been shown.
I don't get why, right? So yes, he could have, I need to go back to the temple, save as many as I can. Would it be shown that, well, there's two reasons I don't like this. One, was everybody else dead and Grogu just hadn't been noticed? Wouldn't Mace Windu, despite having lost an arm, probably been pissed off, immediately just engaged Anakin and tried to fight Anakin to stop him killing any more? Could he have literally made it there in time with all his injuries and everything like that? And then if he did and he was with Grogu, why is he not with him anymore? Yeah. What happened that he lost him, and why is he not been kind of trying to rescue him back again? So I don't like that for all those reasons. I want somebody who rescues Grogu to not be a Jedi almost, which I don't know how I would work that out. I actually almost like the idea that Anakin just not been willing to do it and literally just ready to do it, and then just
like all he saw was Yoda
his
and he couldn't do it
and just walks away, and he's just left there, and then somebody finds him later on. You know what I mean? Because Anakin wasn't, although he's killing children at that point, he was in and out, still, and but by that point in time a little bit, wasn't he? So that would make more sense to me than Mace. So I wouldn't bother me too much if they're going to bring Mace back and they've got a good reason to do that, and kind of finish his story in a different way, because I don't think I'm rebuilding the Jedi Order's ever in the cards.
No.
But I definitely wouldn't want them to tip their hand on that too soon if it was.
I will say this. If they make it to where he's a broken, shattered person, I could see I might potentially enjoy Mace coming back, but as of
almost
right now,
like the opposite of what fans felt about Luke.
I don't.
My problem with Luke was always that we didn't get enough of what broke him. Right. You know, you could do all that with Mace Windu in a long form thing that explores his history a little bit, and you get a bit of flashbacks. You could absolutely do that, and then I would be more in tune to see this kind of broken and embittered version of kind of former Jedi, if you like. Okay. But that wouldn't really resolve Grogu's situation either. But then, you know, I don't know. I've no idea. I genuinely have no idea where they're going with the whole Jedi reaching out thing and where that's all going.
Right.
I know this is all building to some sort of climax, but other than Mike's idea that it'll all revolve around the Darksaber, almost like it's the Iron Throne and everything will go round about that. I like that, but it doesn't give us any end game still. You know what I mean? What's the ultimate goal for Grogu? What's his path in all this? You know, and
what did he choose
at the
Seeing Stone or Sight Stone? Did he even choose to reach out?
Maybe he chose the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He tried to think, you know, he was getting asked, choose your destructor. And he tried to think of the most.
Yeah.
So it would have been those blue cookies.
So we definitely do know that there's going to be a rescue attempt in episode 8. Who do you think is on Mando's rescue team? Kara, obviously, I believe. And
she's not going home and sitting this one out. Fennec and Fett, 100%, based on everything that's happened so far. Fett is with him until the end of this, and actually, I like it. I fucking like Team Mando. I actually would be quite happy if Fett became a main character, and we actually get, you know, we get to explore both of them a little bit. We still Mando being the lead, but Boba Fett as being a good secondary character that maybe has a different point of view.
Finally, Boba Fett is good.
You know, but I think Fennec, they need a third wheel to make that work. And I'm not sure Fennec is that. And I think that's why it might actually bond them together more if she died. Or it could set them against each other as well. Which is there's that potential also. Do you know what I mean? Or Boba Fett could just go his own way after it's resolved either way, but he did say he was going to stick with Mando until he had the child back.
Yes.
If our theory is true that he's not going to get the child back, that implies that in season 3
we're going to get more
Fett would still be with him, other than if he's been killed, which none of us like that idea. So that doesn't make sense based on what Morrison said. So I think he thinks that he's been told he's coming back for season 3.
Okay, so
if it's just a Boba Fett miniseries, why have a miniseries if he's not going to go anywhere? If he's not going to get his own series, there has to be somewhere for him to go. Mando makes the perfect sense. He is a Mandalorian, he has vested interests, you know, but he's also a different character, very different character.
I think I missed your initial comment. You think Dune will sit this out? She's going to go back to...
No, I don't think that would make sense.
Okay, so she's going to be a part of it.
I don't see her saying, I'll sit this one out.
Right, okay. I wanted to make sure because I was going to be like,
and
you're
then
crazy.
That would just be like, well,
she loves that kid.
Then that would make me think, oh, that means Grief's going to take her place. And then she'll say, I need to stay here, and Grief will go, well, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
And then he's gone. That's
he's gone.
Do you know what I mean? And again, it's telegraphed. So I don't know if Jon Favreau listens to this, which I'm sure he does. I mean, I'm sure Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they sit together and they listen to what you and I have to say about Mandalorian each week. I would if I was them.
I would too. Fuck, we're great.
We're great.
So you think Kara, Fennec, Fett is the and Mando? That's the rescue team.
I wouldn't put it out of the question for them to also somehow get Bo-Katan's team on board and Ahsoka, because of the comments that it seemed like Dawson was saying she'd worked with the guy that plays Axe Woves before, and they didn't even appear in the same episode.
Right.
So it's possible they could get a team together, but it would need to be pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know,
and
they
40-minute runtime, if that's true.
Here's a possibility. What if we don't even conclude that? What if we almost the attack doesn't even happen? You know what I mean? Or no, I can't see that. But I was thinking, what if it ends like just we set up for all this about to kick off? And
I don't know.
Because a lot of series will do that, where they'll have set up for the action piece, and then the first episode of the next series is the conclusion of it. You know what I mean? That's quite a common TV trope.
Yeah, but
so we could almost cut it halfway through and have to finish up with all those people still together for the first episode of season 3.
As much as Jammer hates stuff like that, no, I'm gonna be different on that. This last episode, if the runtime is right, for 40 minutes, I originally had said, you know, Ahsoka would come in at the end of the day and take the kid. I have definitely since changed my thoughts on that.
Do you think Ahsoka's going to turn up?
I think it's because of the tweets. It's a possibility, but I don't like the idea anymore.
Out of context, we could absolutely be taking that out of context because they've just appeared in the same show together.
Yes.
Maybe they met at the studios and stuff like that, and that's what they were talking about. You know, that is entirely possible.
I will just put it this way.
But I think it's a splinter,
right,
to make me doubt that they're not going to turn up. With
the story that they have set up, from where I said Ahsoka would, in our season 2 preview, what I said would be the episode 8 rescue mission, which we did call there would be a rescue mission.
Yeah, we've said right from the start that we thought Grogu was going to get kidnapped this season, and they'd have to. We said that basically since episode 1 because this is because we think, although we're not successful writers ourselves, you know, we do this because we think like writers, and that's how a writer thinks. Do you know what I mean? Right? What I need to create drama. I need to create conflict. How do you create conflict after what happened in season 1? Take Grogu away from, build up the relationship, and then take him away. It's classic storytelling. So it just made sense.
We got a lot of maskless Pedro Pascal. I've mentioned the Ghost of Tsushima similarities. Do you foresee him giving up the watch in season 2, or do you think that's a season 3 thing?
Would be. So we don't have time for that. I don't think this year. That would be a development going forward for.
You don't even think maybe as he's trying to rescue the kid, maybe the helmet gets damaged and he just says fuck it and he takes the helmet off to fight?
That's absolutely possible. Because it's a fight or flight moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and rational choice kind of goes out the window at that point. If you're a father and you've got, now I know there's some people that their religious beliefs are so strong that they would watch their son die even if they could. You know, frankly, I find these people completely crazy.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what some deity would want for you, then you're worshipping the wrong one. For quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't want to be associated with that person. Anyway, that's besides the point.
Just equally as bad as the European courts saying parents can't take their kid to the United States for experimental treatment. The kid must die because even if the treatment works, he's going to be a burden on the health system for their entire life. So no, Charlie Gard, you're gonna die instead. But yeah, same thing.
No, I mean, I totally agree with that. If people can, I mean, this is private medical. If people can afford to go, or they can raise enough money to go to America and get experimental treatment,
why the fuck
absolutely
not?
should
Anyways,
do that.
Let's get back.
The point is, it's that father-son moment.
Yep.
We've spent this entire season building up to a point where we realise that Din cares. He thinks of Grogu as his son.
Yep.
And Grogu feels, we think,
that's his dad.
So if it comes down to a situation where it's helmet or try to save Grogu, I don't think at this point there's any choice.
I almost want that now, don't you?
Like, boom, snap decision. There's not even a question. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I almost want that scene now. The
as long
helmet
as it's
gets
engineered
damaged
in a way that doesn't feel cheap.
No, not cheap. But I'm not going to be able to play it out completely in words. But just imagine it's the final moments. Grogu's within reach. The helmet does get damaged. He rips it off without a thought. Like, there's not even a moment of
that's how I would
hesitation.
I
rips the helmet off, throws it down, and goes at Gideon full force with the spear versus the dark saber, and he still fails, and the kid gets taken away. I need to see that.
That's a good ending.
I need to
see that. That is a good ending. Yep. That's the kind of ending I would go for season 2.
And
it leaves us wanting more, but it tells us so much. It's evolved everybody.
Yep.
And it's left us still with some tension and a lot more questions to get answered. But at the same time, we're not just wonder what will happen next season.
Yeah.
It's, so what will happen next as part of the story. There has to be some resolution to this. We'd almost go into season 3 in a straight after kind of
so I like that idea, and I think if we see a maskless Pascal again, I think that person we were talking about definitely died on that hill for some reason.
I can understand, and I think based on what we've heard, right, we've heard that there was some issues, right, but that happens on every production between the actor and the people running it. But it was resolved.
We heard from our source.
Season 3's planned.
Yep. We
heard from our source.
I'll say it this way.
There was some truth to this, but we've been given arms and legs beyond all belief.
Right.
And that's the thing I want to say about the person you're talking about, which you're not mentioning, because I don't think, like a lot of people say, she's got duff information. I don't believe that. She does have sources. I think there's clear evidence.
Oh yeah, especially Warner Brothers.
I think what she does sometimes is adds bells and whistles on.
I think
she thinks
not only that, but she's kind of like the she's kind of got almost the conspiracy theory theorist mentality, to where she wants so badly to be right
believe.
and be on that
she's more susceptible to
exactly. So
tomfoolery, if you like.
I was personally a little mean. She retweeted somebody that said that Mando season 3 wasn't mentioned at all during the stream yesterday.
Until it was. Until
right.
Confirmed
it immediately
and everything.
That guy deleted his tweet within minutes, but it took her almost an hour to delete her tweet, if not more. But she did. She deleted her tweet. I honestly, our source guys, the same source that told us about the Cara Dune show, which is we're fairly certain that's the Rangers.
Let's just be, before we say we've been told that this is that show, that's not the case.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I just said we believe.
We believe, us here.
Yes,
we believe that's what
that show
was
is
being referenced to, and that these are the people that will show up. Yeah,
right.
Gotcha.
Our source gave us the information on stuff like Hayden Christensen and Obi-Wan Kenobi. You guys saw the Twitter last night. Daniel Richtman,
I just actually published
KRT.
That you can find on LRMonline.com today, which just shows you all the stuff that we kind of got right or almost bang on. And I think, there's some stuff that's not been announced.
Yes.
I think they're not giving us everything.
Of course not.
We fully believe, for example, there's an Ezra sort of throne show coming along as well. But I just think we're too early to get to that point yet.
Yeah. they did say that the Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, and season 3 of Mando will lead to a joint story at the end of that. So my guess is 20.
You think that'll be the throne?
2022. That will be the Thrawn Ezra heavy show.
Gotcha.
That's what
Again,
I think.
we'll just say we've not been told that. That's
No.
just Kel's guess. I'm not sure about that. I wonder whether maybe that's another setup.
What would they set
for what's
up
to come
with those three shows
what's been
coming
happening?
together?
What's been happening between Thrawn and Ezra ever since they jumped away at the end of Rebels, rather than just having to deal with that?
Okay,
once,
so
once they find
you
them.
want
more of a sort of
them.
flashback show.
Yeah. Look, I would love to get more Thrawn. Maybe they do a short mini series like we have theorized the Boba Fett show will be. It'll be a mini series that
that's
jumps,
what one of the trades said, actually.
right, that jumps time from escaping the Sarlacc up to Mandalorian. So maybe they get something like that. I don't know. Episode 8 is really up in the air, other than the fact that I think Cara, Fennec, Fett definitely on the rescue team. I want to see Mask off trying to save Grogu fail. That's my episode 8 ideas. Do you have any other ones? Any other guesses?
No, not at all. And just to kind of finish the point you were making, the reason you were going on about our sources is basically saying that there was the same source that told us that not to worry about the Pedro Pascal thing.
Exactly.
Well.
Thank you. I forgot to finish that.
I
that
mean,
point.
just kind of overall to finish off, the way the story is going, you can just see it in the story this year that we're getting to that point where he's going to eventually take his mask off.
Whenever he feels
it's
like
happening.
it. Yep.
We can see it as part of the narrative that they're building in.
And it's good character work.
So that means Pascal will be on screen a lot more in the future of The Mandalorian, I believe.
Which is apparently, and according to our source, what some of the troubles originally were. It's just that a certain person insisted that the troubles were never finished. Resolved, and even went as far as to say, she tweeted out that all the people that stopped covering it because we were pressured by Disney. No, ladies and gentlemen, we were never told by Disney to not talk about that.
The reason we didn't cover it is very simple.
There was nothing to cover.
We reached out to a source immediately, and were immediately told initially, no, that's wrong, don't worry about it. And then we followed up with a bit more information later on, do you know what I mean? And we actually ran a piece saying, no, there was a dispute, but it was resolved.
Yeah.
So again, just get back to your point, this was the same source that got all the stuff right that was getting announced yesterday. Yep. So, that's all we can say in that. We weren't there, Kel wasn't there, I wasn't there, but we trust our source because we've been given reason to do so.
Yep. And I hope you guys will all continue to trust us as well. So, Cam, after going through this episode, the ABC scale, what do you give? Pluses and minuses available.
I know. Okay, well, I think the scene in the Imperial base I think the rest of the episode is a B plus for me, but I think that one scene alone, I think is one of those ones that I'll look back on and say that was one of the best scenes in Mando. That was one of the most important scenes, so that alone takes it to A minus for me, which I think is about a 4 out of 5.
I was similar to you, to where I was like, it's a little bit lower, and then there was certain things like that, the sonic bomb, and a few things. So I originally had written B minus, but I'm gonna give it a B plus. So yeah.
This is the first week we've actually disagreed.
Yeah. Like I was there were little things that really annoyed me. Like I said, some of them context might change, and when next year when I rewatch season 2, so we can do our season 2 recap and our season 3 preview, I might feel differently about the episode. But to wrap this up, we already talked about the stuff that we got right. We talked a little bit yesterday during the investor call. A lot of stuff was announced. Andor. Actually, let me get it so I can
do you know what
tell
I
you
like,
guys.
just in a very simple thing, was getting official names
Yes.
for these series, because we don't like to make it up ourselves
Right.
when we're writing stories for the LLM and saying Kenobi and then bolding that like we do with titles of shows and stuff like that, because we didn't know if it was called Kenobi or we didn't know if it was called Cassian Andor. We actually get them the wrong way round about. So most people were saying Kenobi and Cassian Andor, but actually it was Andor and the full Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
So there you go. It just shows you.
From Disney, we're getting the Ahsoka show and Rangers of the New Republic. I had a note earlier. We know, me and you theorize based off of what we learned at the investors call, what we've learned from our source, and what me and you as just two people
Shooting
that
the
think,
shit. Yeah.
right? That the Rangers of the New Republic is definitely Cara Dune, and we believe because of KRT that Bo-Katan will be joining her on that.
It would seem odd that how often ours and KRT's information matches up. For them to add in Bo-Katan the day after we announced the kind of Cara Dune thing, and for that not to be linked, there's just too much evidence there now to say that it wouldn't be. So I'm expecting there's talks for Sackhoff to come back as well as Bo-Katan. She's the kind of outlier though on how we would work as Rangers, but I'm almost imagining, see, rather than separate stories, but them building an ensemble piece, Kyle, where there's not necessarily maybe even the lead person.
It's an anthology series
yet,
almost,
but it's just like a team, like the Guardians of the Galaxy almost, the Rangers of the New Republic. They just basically jam about getting into adventures and shit and doing jobs that they need to do for the, they're a crack team that's been put together by the New Republic and told to get and stop some bad shit from happening.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That could actually kind of work, because you can.
Looking at
I could see that.
how Finnick and Cara worked together, and Mayfield being released, do you foresee either one of those characters becoming a Ranger of the New Republic?
I think Mayfield will be one of those characters that keeps showing up on TV shows, and he'll show up on sometimes Ahsoka, sometimes Rangers. But he won't necessarily always be
he won't be a Ranger,
regular, but he'll be a returning guest character.
That'll be nice.
That'll appear at certain times. I could see him being like that, and I do think because they're taking all these people elsewhere, you can't just leave Mando and Grogu on their own all the time, and that's why I like the idea of Fett staying in the Mando show rather than, I don't see him being a Ranger of the New Republic. But if Fennec survives, which I'm not sure
if she
will,
does,
I could see her going down that route for sure. Like Cara basically gives her an out as to say, this is something that can get you back in there. Whereas Boba Fett, would he really be even wanted by the New Republic or anything like that? What did he? I mean,
I think as far as they're concerned, he's dead.
Yeah, I know, but if he's going to start jumping about using the Boba Fett name again and everything like that,
we'll see.
They could send somebody after him and say, "Hey, you didn't do us any favours during the war."
But like you said, he's definitely changed, and you and I both agree that one of the worst story mistakes that Dave and John and Kennedy could make is to have Fett betray the Mandalorian. That would just be awful at this point, and undo some great
to make
character stuff.
Become too heroic either, to go the other way. He
doesn't need to be too heroic. You're right.
It doesn't need to be that. It can be this, as I said last week, that between neutral and anti-hero. That's the area I want to see. I want to see him evolve, just not too quickly. Not too quickly. He shouldn't be as far along that path as Mando is. No way.
So do you think Ahsoka and Rangers and Mando 3, whatever we get after that, the culmination of this, which you and I are thinking will be heavy with Thrawn and Ezra, potentially, that again is just us. What's next? Like, that's for this world. Do you think Mandalorian and its timeline ends after this joint?
I mean, I think it
show
could do, but there could be offshoots into new stories. But I don't like stories that don't have any endings,
right.
because that's when series go downhill big time. You come to the big end of season arc, but you don't know where you're going to go next until you sit down in a writer's room and go, right, so where do we go next, guys? Where do we go now? What do we do? That's old-fashioned TV to me. If you're going to, you should have a point in mind where you're going to end it. And I believe that if they're building up to some sort of climax, that should be the end of it, rather than like they do what the CW does and stuff like that, where they all go back to their own shows and then a couple of seasons later they have another big one and they have to top it with even more people the next time. That's not a winning formula for me. I'd rather see it build to a conclusion that concludes those characters' arcs, and then maybe one or two of those could go in a new story direction. Like if it all builds up to Ezra could then be the start of a new story that goes in a different direction again. That's a possibility. An Ezra and Grogu thing going forward. You know what I mean? At that
Could
point,
be,
Mando's out the game, but I don't see Pedro Pascal doing this for 10 years, do you?
No.
Or Rosario Dawson playing Ahsoka for that long. So, all of these things have a time limit, and you have to realise that. And I think it's better to end it all in a bang. So if they're going to go build towards some climax, I'd rather it did sort of end at that point. But I'd be quite happy for it to evolve into new things.
Yes,
from that
always.
point going forward. There's always, when they get there, they'll have new ideas of where they could go next.
Andor looked interesting. I'm not going to get too much into these because you guys can listen to Brian and I really dig into this on LR Mornings this morning. It's already out. But there, and Cam and I got to talk a little bit about these last night on the investor live stream. But
we'll also say I was up till 2 a.m. last night because I live in the UK, chatting in Slack to the point where Kel had to basically tell me, go to bed.
Andor, I was really surprised at how many sets they're building, and the sizzle reel actually got me excited about it again, because I don't care to see more stuff between 3 and 4, but this interested me. Did the sizzle reel for Andor do anything for you, or were you already all about it?
I was only watching it through your stream, and so I couldn't really hear what was going on. I could only see the images and obviously your reaction. So, and I haven't seen it since. I don't know if it's out there, but I haven't been able to see it. Is it out there?
Yeah,
I
go
couldn't
watch
find
it
when I was doing my overall piece today. So I need to really kind of go watch that, and then I could maybe give you a better reaction to it. So yeah, I don't want to say anything at the moment. From what I saw, it looked interesting, but until I see it properly,
the only other one I really want to talk about is the Acolyte, which, this is reading from the programming fact sheet. Leslie Headland, Emmy Award nominated creator of the mind-bending series Russian Doll, brings a new Star Wars series to Disney Plus with The Acolyte. The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. I think I have decoded this as a Dathomir-centered show, centered potentially on Maul, his brother, and his mom, because I see.
You haven't watched the Clone Wars, though, have you?
No, I haven't.
Or Rebels.
And I know they did a lot.
Say that if you had, because they've done a lot of that stuff already.
But there's that
and
lightsaber.
It's too recent. You can't say Darth Maul. What age is he in the Phantom Menace? You know what I mean? So we'd be if we're talking final days of the High Republic, I'd say the final days of the High Republic would have been in Sidious's era.
Yes,
rather than
we're talking
era.
weeks, months before episode 1 starts.
Right, no, I think it will be further back.
You think so?
I think it would be more sort of the Sidious, not Sidious era, I'm saying the wrong thing, Plagueis. Maybe the Plagueis era would be more appropriate. I'm thinking maybe...
So do you think this is
70, 80 years prior?
Do you think this is
something like that?
Do you think this is Palpatine being trained?
I think a young Palpatine could theoretically show up here. Absolutely. I think that's the way they could go eventually with that. But given that it's going to star a female protagonist,
which makes me think Witches of Dathomir.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think, just because they're definitely female, that doesn't exclude still half the population of the rest of the galaxy. So, I don't. It's really hard to say. But what I like about it is that I like the idea in my head that it's exploring the dark side more, which I don't think we've done enough in Star Wars, and I wanted more of that for the sequel trilogy, and I didn't get that. I wanted a sequel trilogy actually where it almost looked like reversed the Snoke and the Yoda look thing to being like the Snoke and Kylo Ren thing, where we really got to explore things from that point of view. That's what I would have found interesting. So if this can do that would interest me. The
Plagueis thing, I can see. This could potentially...
You don't have to have him in it. You just have to have him in the background.
Right.
Don't even have the showmanship.
And this could potentially take place on... I think they changed the name from Korriban, the old Sith homeworld. Not the one we see in Episode 9, but the one they showed in the Clone Wars. It's got like a red sky and stuff like that. This could take place there because it's... it's
that's
got this
even
red...
more ancient, I think, though, than the era they're talking about. So Korriban's more Sith Wars
right?
Era,
I know that.
I mean, which is before the High Republic. Right. So,
but this is obvious. I'm saying is
it could be somewhere they journey to, etc.,
or they're from, or they journey to as like pilgrimage. All I know, it's a very interesting looking logo, and I'm fairly certain that's supposed to be a lightsaber that had cut through it.
But
I'm
that
guessing.
Just means dark side, and usually it's kind of that red, which makes you think dark side
as well. Yeah, so there's a lot to it. Anyways, this episode has definitely gone on far too long.
It was always going after everything that was talked about yesterday. We spent as much time talking about that as we have Mandalorian.
Last thing I have to know about, Rogue Squadron was announced as a movie. Patty Jenkins is currently writing it, going to direct it. As of right now, I have been in touch with Michael A. Stackpole, who wrote the X-Wing series novels that really gave us Rogue Squadron. Yes, they were in the movies, but for all intents and purposes, from the comic books to the novels, Mike Stackpole created Rogue Squadron. Patty Jenkins did tweet out that she hopes to do him and Aaron Alston right, to do them justice. I can't remember the exact words that she used.
No, but I read it. Yeah,
right.
I know what you mean.
I think it is a complete mistake. Look, Disney brought back Tim Zahn to do Thrawn. Why not?
In a major way.
What?
He wrote a book.
No, he wrote 3 books. They gave him. They let him.
Yeah, no, but he wasn't that heavily involved in like Rebels. Which
no, but what I'm saying is they at least let him back in as a writer.
But not in the TV world, not in the movies.
I'm not even talking about TV or movies. I'm saying Tim Zahn was an EU writer, got to come back and write new canon for the same character. Mike Stackpole hasn't been offered anything to come back. Not comics, not novels. Most of the writers out there from the EU, other than Zahn, completely ignored. Even though some of their ideas, some of their characters, have made it into either movies or TV shows. I think Mike Stackpole should at least be an executive producer where he is there basically for Patty to say, what about this? What's your opinion on that? Well, can an X-Wing do this?
Right, okay.
That type of capacity.
That's a creative consultant. That's not an executive producer. I think you're. I would absolutely, if it was me, reach out to Stackpole for use of his just knowledge.
Exactly.
You know, like I want to have a scene where this. How would you have constructed this? You know.
Exactly.
Absolutely. That's more a technical consultant. Like it's almost like bringing somebody into the military. That's not an executive.
Right, but he deserves that title in my mind.
Who says who? Maybe you are a fan of those books.
Exactly.
I am a fan of those books as well.
But
they're not exactly huge pieces of media that were universally loved bestsellers all over the world.
They were New York Times bestsellers. Not everybody was buying
Star Wars X-Wing books.
They were New York Times bestsellers. All 4 of his
Star Wars sales.
But anyways, I've been in touch with him, and as of now, no one at Disney, again, just like when I interviewed him last year about coming back for books, because again, Zahn got to come back. Why is he the only fucking author to get to come back? And I like Tim Zahn. I love Thrawn.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate. Maybe they feel... Maybe there's legal reasons because they're using so much of what Zahn had done in terms of a character he created. B, maybe the people that are running Lucasfilm liked Zahn's books but don't like the ones from the other authors, and that's why they get rid of the canon in the first place.
Well,
so they could pick and
Disney originally said they got rid of it simply because they killed Chewbacca, and it was convoluted, but bullshit. Anyways, we got different opinions. B+, A-. Thank you, Cam, for doing the show. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Please check out our website, lrmonline.com, every day for all your entertainment news. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Podcasts are going up there, celebrity interviews, and of course, subscribe wherever you get podcasts from, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the LRM Online Podcast Network. Like I said, if you use SoundCloud, most of our stuff is in pretty little playlists for you guys, including the Cantina, so you can check out all of the stuff. You can go check out this Season 2 Mandalorian preview and be like, God damn, Cam and Kyle are really fucking smart. Cam, where can people interact with you on the internet?
On the interwebs, at LRM_Cam on Twitter. And you will obviously find me writing stories where humanly possible on LRMonline.com.
And you guys can find me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter and Facebook. So yeah, and every Monday through Friday on LR Mornings. Thank you, Cam, once again. I can't wait to talk about episode 8 next week. And then, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, after we review episode 8, the following week, we will have a season 2 post-mortem, if you will. So yeah, keep subscribed and keep looking out.
Even further, I think we're going to try and do something just Star Wars chat related.
Yes.
We're going to try and do something going forward on a weekly basis. So quite the timing of all these new things is quite nice for us, actually, Kyle, because there's so much stuff to talk about. We probably could, and you just know that this is like. It's like the first step, and then you get an avalanche. So there's going to be interviews, there's going to be tons of more information, and we're going to find out more piecemeal as we go along,
more
as we build up to all these events. So there's always going to be stuff to talk about now that they've taken that first step, which was great.
Yep. And
we'll have some more rumours coming up for you when we get them.
There you go. So
we'll share with
you guys know what to do. Do all that. Also follow LRM_exclusive on Twitter. And shares with your friends and family, guys. The bosses with the purse strings. If you want more fancy stuff, more videos and things like our live stream, need you guys to subscribe and show the bosses what you want, and maybe they'll open the wallet a little bit more, and we can do more stuff for you guys. So yeah. Check all that stuff out. Subscribe. Thank you so much for listening for nearly 2.5 hours. Sorry it was so long. We will talk to you next week.
Bye.